Hi guys, it'll be a video review, full review for Musmys, sometimes called Musymys, 2860 Plus, 2860 Plus preamplifier. So let's get one thing out of the way. This is not an Accuphase clone. There is no 2860, there is no 2860 Plus Accuphase preamplifier. This is a preamplifier that's somewhat based on Accuphase, but it's completely different model number. So this is supposed to be based on 3850 from what I found on the web. I got it during sale on 11/11, and I've paid for that something like $550, and that was including some coupons, and that price also included shipping. I bought it because of a couple of things. The first one, your recommendation. Some of you recommended me this amplifier very highly. The second reason was numbers. When I'll get to the specification, you'll see that this has some very nice numbers according to the manufacturer. The third reason, functionality. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but this preamplifier has absolutely great functionality that would cover all my current and maybe future needs. And the last reason, some of you guys wrote to me when we've been speaking over the mail that this preamplifier matches very well A75 clone, also produced by Musmys. So the numbers. According to manufacturer, the frequency response for this preamplifier is between 3 Hz and 200 kHz within 3 dB limit. Total harmonic distortion is 0.002%. Signal to noise ratio is supposed to be 118 decibels, which is pretty nice for a preamplifier. And this preamplifier has tone controls that are supposed to be changing the treble and bass response in a range between -15 and +15 decibels. So before I'll talk about the build quality, some of you asked me about showing what kind of noise can be heard when you're operating the input selector and the volume control. So this is a remote for this preamplifier. As you can see, it's absolutely stunning. It's made of solid aluminium. It should be registered as a kind of lethal weapon, because when it's falling to your floor, you won't be worrying about the remote, you'll be worrying about the floor. But I like it. I like it. It's one of the best remotes that I've seen. So, input selection. How does it sound? It sounds like that. How does the volume control sound? Like that. Okay, so let's talk about the build quality and the functionality. Starting with the functionality. As you can see, let's move that and let's sit down a little bit closer. Okay, we have input selector here. On the front plate we have input selector here, we have power switch here, we have direct switch here. Direct switch is used to bypass tone and balance controls. We have volume control here, we have treble control, bass control and balance control here. And we have some very nice VU meters for left and right channels in the middle, and they have absolutely great backlight. I'm not sure if you'll be able to see that, but it's completely uniform and it looks really, really nice when it's dark. If I would be nitpicking on one of the things here, is the fact that the encoder, because this is not mechanic selector, it's an encoder for selecting inputs, when you're operating it slowly, it works usually fine. But as you can see, sometimes it randomly changes the direction, and this is in a way it's a nitpicking, because something like that happens to most of the encoders on the equipment from many manufacturers. If you're not regularly using encoder, it'll be a little bit, maybe not exactly dirty, but the tracks and the component that's touching the tracks will oxidize, and it won't be working completely fluidly, especially when I'm rotating encoder quite fast. But this is just nitpicking, because if I'm doing this slowly, it works fine, and nobody will do something like that in the regular use. Okay, so that's it. Let's power it off and let's take a look at the back. I'll have to remove the power cord. Yep. And that was one of the reasons I got this one. We have 3 sets of balanced inputs. We have 3 sets of single-ended inputs. That gives us 6 inputs in total. We have 2 sets of RC outputs, and we have 2 sets of balanced outputs, meaning that we can connect in total 4 amplifiers here. We can connect 2 powered subwoofers and 2 amplifiers and all many different combinations of equipment. So what else do we have here? A voltage selection switch between 220 volts and 110, up like that, and let's slide it up. Okay, and we have a power connector with integrated fuse compartment here. So let's talk about the build quality on the inside. The top lid cover is very thick. It's something like 3, maybe 4 millimeters. Yep, it's solid. And now, what's the most important thing and the most beautiful thing about this amplifier is what can be found inside. Let's try to do something like that. Yep, seems to be working. Okay, and let's... Okay. So, what can we see here? What's interesting here? I need to grab my magic wand. Okay, we have 2 transformers. These are block transformers hidden under metal shields. Yeah. We have filtering capacitors here. These are ELNA for audio capacitors, and each one of them is rated for 10,000 microfarads. So all in all, we have 60,000 microfarads in here. Other capacitors are Nippon Chemical, ELNA audio capacitors, and all of them are actually very good quality. We also have some German Wima capacitors. The volume pot is motorized Alps in here. Under the volume control, we have a small board that's being used for tone controls. And one of the things that you may not or may not be able to see, I try to zoom in there. Yep, you should be able to see that one. This chip, this is an operational amplifier. It's 5532 operational amplifier, standard NE 5532, which you may know I hate, and it's soldered to the board, so I have to unsolder it, and I will replace that with a Deep 8 socket, and then I'll put OPA 828 in it, because for tone controls, although I'm not using them very often, maybe sometimes if I will want to use them, I would like to have the cleanest and the most transparent possible operational amplifier there. Because right now, when you switch tone controls on, even with all three controls with neutral positions, you'll still hear a slight loss of transparency and detail. Just switching the direct mode off will cause that, because even if the controls are in neutral position, the signal goes through the whole additional circuit. So I will do that definitely later on. Here we have back of the VU meters. Here we have encoder board. What else is interesting here? Here we have amplifier modules. These are completely separate for both channels, and this amplifier is supposed to be truly balanced inside. And as you can see, I'll rotate that in a minute, but in here you have, I think these are Philips made NE5532D operational amplifiers, and these seem to be used for making single-ended inputs balanced. So it means that internally the whole amplifier works only in balanced mode. One interesting thing here is this small chip here. Let's try to zoom in there. Yeah, this one. As you can see, it has been sanded, and I have no idea what's that and what was the reason for removing all of the markings from that one. And we have some Japanese relays here. All of the red ones are made in Japan. So let's rotate the amplifier and let's take a look at the input and outputs. Give me a second. Okay, so I've rotated the amplifier so you'll be able to see what's inside. Let's zoom in. Yeah, so as you can see, all RCA inputs and outputs have their own dedicated board. And for the inputs, these are inputs here, we have relays that control the inputs and one cable that goes to the PCB board here, and that's right next to this Philips 5532 operational amplifiers. So on the other hand, all balanced inputs and outputs are directly soldered to the board. Yes, let's take a look at the amplifier modules. Maybe you will see something interesting here that I could have missed. If you will, please give me a shout in the comments. Please let me know, and if there is anything important that I've missed, I will add it to the video description. Okay, I think that's all on the internal build. So let's close the top cover, and I'll power it on again, so I'll be able to play with the controls while I'll be telling you all about the sound quality. Okay, this is also a nice thing. You need to put down the top lid and you need to slide it in to the small groove in the front panel of the preamplifier. Okay, so give me a second. Okay, so I've done it. You can almost see me in the reflection here. Okay, so let's talk about the sound quality in my usual order. Let's start with the bass. The bass has great extension and is very precise. I don't think this preamplifier adds or subtracts anything from the sound. I was testing, and I forgot to mention that, all the important links, you will find them in the video description. Also, the description for my system setup that I was using during sound tests for this amplifier is described in the video description. So anyway, I was testing this preamplifier with D5 Pro, which is Dartzil clone. Why? Because more and more of you guys have D5 Pro, so it's becoming a kind of a reference point. That was one reason. The second reason was that D5 Pro is excellent, absolutely excellent amplifier. So my listening sessions were required a kind of reset from me. I had to connect D5 Pro, which you can actually see still connected over there, and I needed to listen to D5 Pro for a couple of hours to remember the sound of the D5 Pro alone. And then I had to add preamplifier to be able to easily hear the differences that preamplifier brings to the table. So getting back to the bass, as I was saying, I don't think this preamplifier adds or subtracts anything from the sound, from the bass. However, D5 Pro, when used with this preamplifier, sounds like it would have fuller bass. Bass on Dartzil clone is very precise, it's very tight, but I would never call D5 Pro bassy amplifier. However, with this preamplifier, the bass gets fuller, although as I said, I don't think, and I cannot confirm that this preamplifier adds anything to the bass, to the lower end of spectrum. So anyway, the bass is not dry and it doesn't have any kind of excessive mid bass. It's very accurate, it's very fast, it's very precise and accurate. Now, I would also say that the bass has superb slam and superb speed when needed. So for the bass range, it seems like it's very transparent and it's very honest about the bass presentation. Moving on to the mid-range. Mid-range is just slightly on the warm side because this preamplifier, which obviously I forgot to tell you, is a pure class A preamplifier. So the mid-range is slightly on the warm side. It's very open and it's very transparent. It has amazing detail and timbre. All the stringed instruments, all the brass instruments were superb and very natural. Vocals were very smooth. I liked female vocals a little bit better, but male vocals were also excellent. There is no sibilance whatsoever. Moving on to treble. Treble has great extension. You can hear all the small spatial cues that are there. It's very airy. There is a staggering amount of detail. A lot of things that will give you the small cues about the venue that the recording took place. At the same time, the treble is very smooth. It has absolutely no grain. And I would attribute that to the Class A, to this preamplifier being full Class A. Okay, moving from treble to imaging. The imaging here is absolutely excellent. It's very precise. The positions of all instruments, you can find and point them with your fingers very precisely on the sound stage, and they are not how should I put that? Point locations. They are precise, but they have full bodies. For example, piano will be larger than, I don't know, violin. Yes, so these were not the point sources. Although the location was very precise. The scene is very wide. There is a lot of depth information and height information. Although the carry preamplifier remains the king here. The carry SLP90 will create some kind of sound dome all around you. but this is a tube quality, and although carry in this regard sounds great, it's I wouldn't say it's neutral. I would say that it kinda blows the scene, so it's larger. But this one is very precise. The recordings that were recorded in large venues sounded like they were recorded in very large areas, for example, churches, etc. On the other hand, things that were played by small ensembles in small rooms, small places, sounded like they would be recorded in small places. So it's very honest about the image, about the stereo imaging. Okay, it's very close to carry though. It's smaller, it's very honest, but when it comes to the quality of imaging, it's very close to carry. The precise layering that you can hear here, layering meaning depth information, brings additional detail info. I've noticed this earlier with a couple of other amplifiers and preamplifiers. When you have precise depth information and you can have these layers going to the backplane, you'll be able to hear sometimes more detail, because some things that were previously mixed up, they were connected together, being on the same plane. Some place that you would hear as the same plane, when they are actually separated as they should be, you'll be able to hear them. They were masked earlier, and now they are here, you can hear them. So moving on to the details. This preamplifier has excellent detail. All the small things, all the small nuances are there, and they, again, probably because it's Class A, are given you in a way that doesn't force your attention, doesn't force your focus on the details. It's all there, but you're listening to your music as a whole, and if you want to, you may dive in and to look for some interesting things that are happening in the background, for some interesting noises and sounds that, for example, sneaked in to the recording. Okay, I would even say that this particular preamplifier is almost on par with, when it comes to the detail, it's almost on par, very close to digital to analog converter connected directly to the preamplifier, and that's the highest possible price here. I could not find any lost detail when I was connecting digital to analog converter through this preamplifier. Usually, for most of the preamplifiers with speakers like my electrostats, I am able to hear that adding additional component to the chain will cause slight loss of detail. Not with this one. With this one, I mean, it probably was there, but I wasn't able to hear anything that I would be missing compared to the connecting digital to analog converter to power amplifier directly. Okay, that was all about the detail. Now, some loose thoughts. This preamplifier pairs with D5 Pro extremely well. Almost as well, almost as Carry SLP90. If I would say that Carry pairing is 100%, this one would be something like 99%, but it has better functionality. So anyway, using this with D5 Pro will enhance all D5 Pro qualities. With some tracks, you just want to go louder and louder and louder because of the almost non-existent distortion. You realize that you're listening too loud, not because your ears start to hurt, but someone starts to scream at you. Isn't that too loud? Could you lower the volume down? Okay. All the choral pieces that I was listening to during my listening sessions sounded amazing, very open, very natural, and they were full of emotion. Again, I would say this is an attribute of Class A and the transparency of this preamplifier. And when it comes to transparency, again, all live recordings were purely amazing. For example, Chris Isaac's Wicked Game. There is a recording that was taken in MTV studio. There is a whole CD, MTV Unplugged Best tracks, with best tracks of MTV Unplugged, and there is a recording of Wicked Game by Chris Isaac. I highly recommend that track, not only to test your equipment, but because it's just beautiful. So anyway, all live recording were very open, very transparent, very clean, and very full of air. Every sound was precise, but at the same time, the music, the whole track, was very effortless. So, a summary. I think it's best solid-state preamplifier from the ones I've tested so far, and I can't really imagine something would be significantly better in any area than this one. Maybe someday, maybe in some other preamplifiers that I bought during my shipping frenzy at the end of 2024, there will be something slightly better. But I just can't imagine that there would be any single area or more areas that sound can be just better than with this one. But maybe. It's a great pairing for D5 Pro. It's on pair with carry amplifier. Why on pair? Why on the same level? Because carry will get you very spacious imaging, but we lose to this preamplifier, to this 2860 Plus, when it comes to detail and dynamic. This amplifier has exceptional build quality. I mean, it looks great, and it really is made great. It has superb remote, and so far it has the best functionality of all the preamplifiers that I've tested, and that would also include all of the preamplifiers that I owned during my, I don't know, 20 years of collecting and listening to audio gear. Why? It has tone controls, okay, a lot of amplifiers, a lot of preamplifiers have that, but it has 3 balanced inputs, 3 single-ended inputs, and it has 4 outputs, 2 balanced and 2 single-ended outputs. I don't think I ever owned preamplifier that would have 4 sets of outputs. So that's something absolutely excellent. Yeah. So I can only very highly recommend you to use this preamplifier, and as I said at the beginning, I bought it because of the recommendation of some of you guys. We've had a conversation that started in the comments section, and then we've discussed this in email exchange. Some of you guys, 2 of you actually, had bought 2 units of this preamplifier each. One to use it, and the second one in case that anything goes wrong with the first one. And I can say that I tend to understand it right now. Okay, finishing thoughts. In the description, you'll find a link to the store I bought this one from, also to the stores that I got other equipment from, so I think you can trust them. You'll also find there other useful information, including my setup used for this audio test, and if anything will come up in the discussion in the comments that could be useful to all of us, I will also update the description for the video with that additional information. I hope you like that video. If it helped you in any way, you are more than welcome to support my channel by buying me a beer via Super Thanks here on YouTube. yeah, that's my second full review in 2025. And Happy New Year, guys. And stay tuned for more. I'll try to find more time for reviews, but at the same time, I think I will slow down a little bit. Because as some of you know, I'm doing this as a hobby after my regular job, after my regular working hours in the office. So I think I'll try to deliver one full review for a week, probably during weekends, and maybe on working days between Monday and Friday, I'll try to do some simpler, smaller videos for you guys. So again, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed that video at least as much as I enjoyed this preamplifier. Stay tuned for more, and I hope you'll have a great day ahead of you. Bye guys, see you next time.